the unhinged version.
The unhinged episode, we'll call this one. That'll be the title for this.
I don't know how unhinged we'll get, but we're just kind of thinking here, like, I don't know, maybe we need to be better about planning our podcast. But at the same time, man, I don't know. I think over planning sometimes doesn't lead into what does Bezos say? A wandering session. Maybe we should call this the wandering session, where we
The
just kind of
wandering
get into.
episode.
Yeah, because I think it helps with ideation. It's like not every week some crazy marketing news is going to come out, or we have some epiphany about B2B marketing or B2C marketing. There's only so much shit you can talk about in the digital marketing space. So I think the goal of today's episode was to, I don't know, go a little bit off topic than your traditional marketing. And Trevor had the idea of talking about our routines that we get into, be it for work or personal, because I think those things always help with having a good mindset when it comes to working and life in general. That's
100%.
kind of the synopsis we had, right, Trevor? Did I get that right?
And two, like no, you definitely did. And two, like whenever I listen to certain people's podcasts, like for example, the one that I we've been chatting about recently, the one podcast, Limited Supply, just to give them a shout out, awesome podcast. Whenever I listen to some of the people's content, I always want to then know like what's their backstory, like what's their day to day look
Yeah.
like what are they doing on their day to day. I always want to know that shit. And I feel like it helps build, I don't know, a relationship with your audience. Your audience can like better understand your perspective and where you're coming from. I don't know. I'm always curious, and I'd always want to know everybody's like daily routines. I've always found that to be like a really fascinating topic, and I feel like you've said some tidbits. We've literally worked together for like over 2 years now, and I couldn't tell you your exact daily routine, but I have some ideas in terms of like what you do on the day to day basis, in terms of like running. You have kids, you're running your own agency. Like I have some ideas of some of this, so I'd be curious to
Yeah.
hear like what does what does like a day in the life of Steve kind of look like here?
All right, we'll get into that, and we'll get into Trevor's day in the life, because I think it's the same thing, right? I've worked with you for 2 to 3 years. I've gotten a feeling, of some of these routines, and especially the way that we're set up, like as a collective. It's like we're not employees to each other. There's not a boss subordinate relationship here. It's just colleagues online, but we're also not going to the pub and getting pints because we live so close together, or if something drinking you're not into, or even just hanging out, right? It was like we don't have that kind of intimate relationship kind of thing. So it is kind of, we get to explore some of this. So I guess we can do that real time, which is cool. So I guess routines. I feel most comfortable when I have a routine and my routine goes as planned.
I was just gonna
But
say, do you have a routine? Like it's not like most days look pretty similar. Like I wanted to get in like what
Yeah,
goes
so
into that. Like pretty, yeah.
Monday through Friday, they are very similar days. Saturday and the weekends or holidays, those are free range. It's like everything goes out the window. So,
Same.
all right, typical day like Monday through Friday. Wake up around 6. If my alarm clock, or I have an alarm clock set for, literally, I've got a weird habit of, if I set an alarm, it's never like on an exact like easy number, like a 6:10 or a 6:15. Like I'll do it at 6:09. I don't know why. I just feel
Dude,
like,
that's crazy you say that. I do the same thing.
see, we're more similar alike, dude.
I do this literally the same thing. I will set my alarm for like 5:34 and then 5:39 and then like 5:45. I don't know why. I'm the same exact way though.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah. No, okay, so that's exactly what I do. I'll set it for like 6:09, but then if like I wake up a little bit earlier and I can tell based on the sunlight that's coming in, okay, it's probably time to wake up. My body pretty much wakes up right on time without even an alarm clock. I think maybe half the times during the week I look at my phone quickly and it's like, oh, okay, it's time to wake up, and it's relatively within 15 minutes of when I have to wake up. So wake up. I got 2 kids that are in elementary school. One's going into middle school now. So get them up, uh, get them kind of ready-esque as far as, I mean, they're totally self-prepared now. So by like 7 o'clock, I've got them, got their breakfast going. And then I have like from like 7 to 7:30 to maybe check on some work emails, social media, sit there with a cup of coffee and just kind of decompress. And
You a
then kids
cold cup
go
of coffee guy, or are you a hot cup of coffee guy?
hot cup of coffee most
Nice.
of the time. Yeah, don't really eat breakfast all that often. Just kind of the interval fasting, but
Same.
I just tend not to. Uh, I don't know. I just don't really need to do that in the morning as much as I used to. And then I typically try to reserve the window between like 7:45 to 8:45 for a workout, be it a run. I try to run 3 times a week. My Friday runs, which I'll get in my Friday routine, is a little bit different. I'll run longer, but so Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll run about between 4 and 4.5 miles a session. Tuesdays and Thursdays are reserved for resistance training. I just work out in my garage, nothing crazy. Couple like kettlebells, a lot of ground movements, just a lot of body movement to do that. So working out, I love working out in the morning because then I log on, typically at 8:45, and I'm fresh, ready to go. I try not to have any meetings until 9. Sure, some clients have client meetings at 8 that I just pivot my schedule, and then I'll move my workout to the middle of the day. But a day that I do not get a workout in Monday through Friday, it really bugs me.
All right. So before you go any further past that, your workouts, your runs, um do you like have any goals with those? Like, do you track it with a watch or anything like that? Like
Yeah,
what?
dude. Yeah,
Like, do
for
you
sure.
like
That's
map out
I
your
was
workouts, or is it more like very intuitive of like, hey, I feel like running this amount today and do this workout? Like, is it planned
yeah.
or a little bit more intuitive?
No, no, no. That's a great question. So when it comes to working out, I have my Apple Watch and I just use Apple workouts. I used to use Strava. I mean, I still have it syncing for my runs, but I don't do the paid version of Strava anymore. There's just no reason because previously I had goals with my running as far as like, hey, I'm going to go do a marathon
Yeah.
or I'm trying to hit X miles a month. I'm like, I kind of went past that phase. I was like, cool, I want to hit 1,000 miles a year. Did that a couple of times, or I want to hit, do a training session. Now I'm kind of more in a maintenance mode. I don't have
Yep.
like a competition that I'm going for, so I don't really need like the advanced analytics, but I do like to track it just so I can see in hindsight. But as far as like my runs on Monday and Tuesdays, dude, it's like the same route I take
They outdoors.
every all outdoors. Yeah, I've never run on a fucking treadmill. It's like the worst thing ever. It make me nauseous. It's like the easiest. Like there's less resistance to like just putting on your shoes and getting outside. And so like a 4.2 mile run, I don't run. I don't run. I jog. I like slide. It's not fast. Like I'm not running super fast. Sometimes I'll do more faster runs if I feel the need to. So yeah, they are thought out as far as the routes. It's pretty much the same route every time for those, maybe backwards or inverse. Always a circular pattern, never like go somewhere and come back on those 2 runs. And then on Fridays, I typically run 7 miles or above, depending on timing. I've been in a loop right now where it's about 7 miles, a little over 7 miles. Previously, I would run like 10, sometimes like 13 miles, but I'm not into like the long distance running as much anymore. So I try to average about like 15 miles of running a week. And so there is some things with the longer distance running that I did appreciate, which is like nutrition. I think we talked about it with Will a little bit when he was on, and he was getting ready for a marathon. There is something cool about running long distance where you have to figure out your whole hydration plan, which is
Oh
crazy,
yeah.
and trying to dial that in. Um, so yeah, that's my running side of things, and then the workouts as far as Tuesday's workout, I try to do there's a couple kind of set things I do. There's about 20 minutes of yoga that I kind of do and stretching to start off because I don't know. I need it at my age. I'm not as young as you. We're like, dude, my knees just like I've gotten better. I follow the knees over toe guy kind of practice. So I do a lot of stretches that he does. Like I'm able to actually like lay backwards on my back and my knees and my legs behind me, and so like my
Yep.
knees are only forward. Like, dude, I was never able to do that fucking 10 years ago, but
He
now I
he's
can
great.
do that.
He's such a good follow.
Yeah, like so, like strengthening the muscles around the knee to make sure your knees are more bulletproof, which has helped out a lot. And I've only done that for the last maybe year and a half or so. I used to wear a knee brace on my left knee for running, but I don't do so anymore because it's gotten that much better. And one of the things outside his exercises that I do, he's talking about floss bands. Have you ever done floss bands?
No, no,
So
I don't even think I've even heard of them.
they look like, I don't have them in here. They look like resistance bands.
Okay,
And but they're a little bit thinner, and a little bit wider. And basically, you wrap below and above the joint that you want to treat. So, like your knee, you wrap it below half tension. So you're actually cutting off blood circulation to your knee.
okay,
And you do like, I don't know, 10, 15 squats. And so you start to feel a little numbish in your limbs that are cut off. And then you unwrap it, and then you just kind of move your leg around to basically have a massive rush of good blood coming into that joint. Dude, and it is game changer. Like
I've
it
heard.
feels so good doing that. Someone was telling me it's kind of sounds similar to like doing platelets or something, or blood platelets therapy.
I've
But
heard
that
like
has helped out a lot.
it's like restricted training or whatever. I've seen people do it before. Like there's certain bands where like you could time like above like your bicep, do a bunch of curls, and then take it off, and it's like
That's exactly
a
what the flossing bands
yeah,
are.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is like you treat it just for your knees, or the joint that you'll do. And so I'll wrap it, and like I do it before I run. I'll do it a couple times a week when just like randomly, like, hey, feeling a little sore maybe, or just trying to keep ahead of it. And man, that helps like a crazy amount to where I was like, no way this is gonna work. But you almost feel it like instantaneously. It's
That's
pretty
so
wild.
sick.
So yeah, that's my workout routine. I when I am running, I tend to listen to podcasts. Actually, any of my workouts, it's mostly always podcasts or audiobooks. Sometimes when I want to take it to another level of intensity, I'll put on some music,
Yeah,
because I actually don't listen to music purposely for when I run, because I get too fucking amped up, and then
you
like
just
my
get it
pacing gets
going.
all out of whack, and it's like, dude, like you get your pacing all mixed up. So yeah, that's my morning routine. So we haven't even talked about work, but it gets me into that mindset where like I'm ready. Like I've already done some hard shit today. Like
Yeah,
what's work gonna throw at me? It really, that mentality helps out. Yeah. So then I'll log in. Most of the times the mornings are like meetings or catching up on emails, setting up the day. I do most of my. I think we talked about this with Ricardo when we had him on. Um, I do most of my heavy production work or deep mind
you're like an
thinking
end of
stuff,
day
and
guy.
I'm in the afternoon. So like after I've
Yeah,
had lunch, like it's that 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock time period, maybe even up to 5 o'clock. That it's like, dude, I'm getting things done, because I've set everything up in the day, and then I get through what I want to get through. Yeah. So I mean, lunchtime. Yeah, typically around 11:30. I take it a little bit earlier. I always take my dog for a walk.
nice.
A half mile, little
Do you
walk.
do
It
that
takes
after
15,
lunch?
20 minutes. I probably should do it after lunch.
Yeah, because I've heard it's
Um,
really good to like eat and then go for a walk. We try and do it sometimes, but it's
yeah,
tough sometimes with the scheduling. But I
I
heard that's
really
really
should. You
good.
know what? I might mix that into my routine, because typically it's like, dude, I get done, I'm hungry, right? Because I haven't eaten really anything all day, and so it's like, oh man, like 11:30, 11:45. I'm like, oh, I
You're
want to
ready to
eat.
go. Yeah.
And then so it's like, I'll kind of wait until I walk the dog, but I'm going to try it. I'll flip it. But I always walk the dog. And something I've done recently that I think has helped out a lot from a mental clarity, from like a stimulus standpoint, I've been really trying to, I mean, obviously you can limit social media when you're on it and what you're doing with it, but also trying to find times where you're just kind of quiet to yourself. Um, and one way when I would take my dog on a walk, 15, 20 minutes, I always have a podcast in, right? Maybe it's a news podcast, um, or something in general. But I'm like, it's almost too much stimulus. Like I could do that elsewhere, like I'm washing dishes or something like that. So I just decided to not listen to anything and just walk with my dog.
You
And
know,
like the first couple times it was like weird. I was like, this is kind of strange. Like I feel like I'm not maximizing my time here, but it's like slowed it down to where like it just lets my brain take a break. And some of the shit that just bubbles up is cool, but it's also like a break.
I've just to interject there. I heard somebody recently say that you definitely can get overstimulated. Like if you think about like if you're waking up, you're checking social, you're doing work calls, you're chatting all the time. When you're working out, you got your podcast going, your car ride, you got your like there's never time for you to really kind of shut off and just like have a little silence in your mind and think about whatever thoughts come through. I've tried to do that more like be more conscious about that. Of like in a car ride, just like drive by myself somewhere and just not have anything on, or
Yeah,
before bed, trying not to have anything like finding pockets of silence. I found really really helpful for me, and I don't know. It's like a little therapeutic. It's a little calming. I feel like it's probably not great to have like somebody saying something all the time at you because you're not really thinking original thoughts in that sense. So yeah, I've had a similar experience recently.
yeah. I was telling Ricardo, like, dude, the first couple times I did this, the response I felt like almost like when I went go camping. I felt a little like unplugged. And
Yeah.
like that's all it
Yep.
took was to go walk around without having a podcast in. I think there's a lot of value in that.
I don't
Because I
know if
can't
you
get.
know. I don't know if
Go
you
ahead.
know the guy Nick Bear who runs BPN supplements. I think I
Mm-mm.
might have mentioned to you before. Um, awesome YouTube follow. He puts out like a bunch of workout content, daily routine. Awesome follow, and he's like a big time. He calls himself like a hybrid athlete. So like he'll like do a bunch of running and all this different types of this different types of workouts. He's one of these guys that runs every morning like 5 to 8 to 10 miles. Like he's crushing weeks, and
Yeah,
he'll do these and then he'll have like after run thoughts. Like he says he doesn't listen to any music and he'll just like think about certain things and like gets a bunch of mental clarity from it. So maybe try running sometime without anything in and see what
I've
happens
thought
mentally.
about it, man. I'm like, dude, that sounds like the most like alien thing ever. But I think there's
There's
something
something
that
to
should
that.
be done. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. Because I think the overstimulation is something that I can find myself in, especially like in social situations. It's a whole nother topic, but I've kind of self-diagnosed with doing some tests with like adult Asperger's, like being on a bit of the spectrum. My brother, he won't talk about it much, but he is on the spectrum, but like as high functioning. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
dude, I'm pretty sure my dad is too, based on kind of like highlights and stuff. I've taken some tests where like, okay, I get it. Like, there's some certain things where like I get overstimulated, so like kind of keeping that in mind too. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, that's something that can be an issue. Like a lot of times when I'm driving a car, like I need to make like I don't have the music on sometimes, or so I find it peaceful, you know. Or my
for
wife will look at
sure.
me like I'm crazy. Where like if music's going or something, like I can't concentrate if like there's something else going on. I'm like, dude, there's no way. I have to. I can. My brain doesn't work like that. So that's interesting. So okay, lunchtime, we get the afternoon done, and then typically, stop work between 4 and 5. Sometimes it goes longer, but very rarely these days. But between like 4 and 5, my time, and then it's whatever we got planned for the kids, family life. Cooking dinner. Doing activities with the kids or whatever they might have that they've got jujitsu and stuff, and so typically, then the kids will go down between 9 and 10. Well, my younger goes a little bit earlier, but they're all like self sufficient now. It's fucking great. I don't have to go through all of that.
That's nice.
So it's a
Yeah,
very different space where I have time in the evening to, I don't know, maybe watch a show with the wife. If the wife's busy, I do have a pocket of like an hour of like, hey, should I do something? Where it's like my time, where that's where like I'll actually watch TV. If I watch TV, I don't watch a tremendous amount. That's like an hour time, and TV is typically like YouTube or a show with the wife. There's very
for
rare that
sure.
I'll have like a show
Yeah,
for myself, but I do try to aim to go to bed around 8 or around 10:30 is like my goal. Sometimes, sure, it moves to 11 or 11:30, but I really try to go to 8:30 because I like going to bed, or at 10:30 because I wake up at 6. That time period is good for me. And I try to, as I get towards, I know it's going to end the end of the night. I try not to watch TV in bed at all. Maybe on the weekends I'll do it, but typically when I go to bed, it's like, dude, I throw on like meditation music, an audiobook that I really like,
hmm
um, and I go to bed. More recently, I've been like, dude, no stimulus sleep going to bed. That seemed fucking weird to me. Like just going to bed without something, and it's did great.
it's the best.
It's one of those items where like I used to do it all the time, but it's like listening to an audiobook, I can fall asleep super quick. I'm one of those guys that just fall asleep super quick. Yeah, and then up at 6. That's typically, yeah, the routine. And then the weekends are fucking free for all. Like, dude, I'll be up late some weekends. We definitely are a later house over here on the weekends. So my schedule gets all out of whack by then Monday. It's like, oh, okay, back to normalcy, for it all. So that is a typical routine, more of a personal routine, I guess.
Nice. I feel like we have a bunch of overlap there, and
Oh, the one other thing I
maybe
forgot is that
yeah,
typically
yeah.
on Tuesday or Wednesdays, I will play a couple hours of pickleball. We've been on a good routine of that for the
Nice.
last like 2 or 3 years. So I do enjoy playing pickleball, which is like just
Who you play
another.
with?
It's a couple buddies of mine. We talked about it like 2 or 3 years ago. Like, oh, you should play pickleball. It's kind of this new thing. It's not wasn't as popular. It was definitely it was starting to grow. And so one Christmas, I just bought everybody paddles, and we just started playing, and then we just got hooked. These guys have like ex baseball, like huge baseball, amateur, not amateur baseball, but dude, he loves playing baseball, and he was kind of retiring from doing the softball league, so that was perfect for him. Another guy that's just in good shape and just wants to, do something physical. And then the other guy, dude, he's got a lot of like tennis background and like ping pong background, so just naturally pretty good at it. So yeah, it's our close guy friends group that we hang out with. We try to do it like once a week, which is a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
think I can maybe just like rattle off a little
Yeah,
about
let's
my
go through your
routine,
routine. I know I talked most of it, but so
and
yeah,
then
where does Trevor start his day? What's his routine? I'm super fascinated to hear because I know there is some overlap and I know there'll be some contrast because I'm 41. I'll be 42 in like a month pretty much. I mean, Trevor, how old are you? You're
I
still in
will
your 20s,
be
right?
no. I'm 30. I'll be 31 in two
You're
days.
30. Okay, 31. Okay. All right.
Yeah, two
So
days. I'll be
you're no
31. So
spring
I'm inching.
chicken anymore. So yes, let's
No,
all hear
no.
about Trevor's.
And then I'll break down like a routine, and then I want to maybe towards the end I want to ask some questions about like your diet and your like day to day
Okay.
diet, maybe some like content stuff if you have like go to YouTube channels or podcasts, um,
Yep. Let's do
and
it.
maybe anything else. But I want to like ask some questions about like content that you consume as well as diet. Um, I think there's definitely some overlap to our days, but a little bit different. I think I will say I'm very meticulous about my routine. Like I really am, and I try not to get like too caught up if like something like goes wrong with your routine because I think like it's probably important to like have some flexibility within your life there. But I think like a general Monday through Friday, working, no vacation, nothing like that, pretty much do the same exact thing every day, and it's really helped my overall productivity. So I used to wake up every morning and go to the gym, work out, and start my day like that. But then I saw a clip from Alex Ramosi, and he said it really helped him to wake up in the morning early and just go directly to your computer and start working. So I've tested both, and I found that mentally I'm the sharpest starting my day, and then like energy and like mental clarity like slowly dissipates throughout the day. Not like it's a problem, but like I'm just
Sure.
much more effective in the morning. So a typical day, I'll wake up at like 5:30, and I'm usually on the computer by like anywhere between 6 and 6:30, because I'll typically have calls anywhere between like I don't know, some days 9, but usually like 10 and 11. So most days I'm going like 6:30, 6:30 in the morning till like 10ish, uninterrupted. Like I got like
Yeah.
3.5, 4 hours of like hands on keyboard working. I listen to the same exact playlist every single day for the past like 7 months now, probably. I
No
listen to
shit.
house music, no lyrics or anything, because I saw somebody tweet this out and they're like, dude, if you listen to the same playlist every day, you condition yourself to be like, up, it's work time, it's focus time. And it's like a subconscious thing. I was doing that and then I saw somebody tweet that. And I was like, yeah, there's might be some validity to that because I have like this one song
Is
that
it
I
on
start the playlist.
shuffle or is it literally like the same
Dude,
order every day?
same thing every day.
Oh, okay.
Same thing
Interesting.
every day. But it's like I start it at like a certain point in my playlist and it goes through like 15 songs and then it starts shuffling into like different music.
Okay.
But it's like the first like 15 in a row, it's the same. I know the
It's an
transition, I know the
anthem.
beat, I know
Yeah.
everything there. And that's actually helped overall productivity. So I'll wake up and I'll just immediately go right to the computer and I will begin work uninterrupted for like the first couple hours. Um, and then usually like I'll have a call or like some calls anywhere between like 9 and 11 in the morning and like kind of get into the rhythm of the day. And I will say the night before, which I'll get to like the end of the day, I will have written down what I need to accomplish. Like if you could see this on this screen here, like six,
Yeah.
7, these were these tasks that I had to get done today. Like this is everything I have to. and then I'll have like a list of some other things. But so I will wake up and I will know I got to do this thing. Like I got to do this keyword research or I got to do this whatever. That's been really helpful because then you wake up and I will drink coffee and I will immediately know what I need to do. The one like little health tip, little health hack that I've learned is apparently like you lose a lot of like electrolytes and sweat and stuff overnight and you like digest a lot of stuff. So it's really good to start your day with electrolytes. I've tried to do that every day where like I'll wake up, I'll drink an electrolyte drink. Shout out Nick
What
Bear BPN. I do his a little electrolytes and
I was
then
gonna
I'll do a
ask which
cup of
one you do.
coffee.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a
BPN
big fan.
electrolytes.
I'm a big fan of Element. Um,
I do those from time to
LMT.
time too.
So, dude, I buy like the fucking
Yep.
4 box pack. You get three. You buy three, you get one free.
Yep.
Dude, they sent me like I bought enough of that shit over the years. They sent me their new uh drink that's a can. They basically like carbonated it, and they sent it out for free to me. I was
Dude,
like,
you're
oh,
like a
this is
big time
cool.
influencer
I
here.
was like, that sounds like I'm an influencer. So my kids are like, yeah, okay, dad. But yeah, dude,
Yeah, that's
electrolytes
awesome.
in the morning. Depending on if I, had a couple drinks the night before, I try to go to bed hydrated, but in the morning, I do one thing I do. We can talk about this probably later, but I do take trimethylglycine in the morning. It's been very helpful for me in a
Interesting.
lot of different ways, but we can talk about that one later. But continue
All right,
on with
cool.
your
Cool.
with your tea.
And then so I'll work and then usually I'll have some type of gap around noonish where I'll eat food. So I won't eat until noon is the earliest that I'll eat every day. Sometimes it'll be, 1:30. Sometimes it'll be 11:30 if I have to squeeze something in. But typically I'll do a meal then, and then I will try, and then that will then take me into the second half of the workday. And then after work, I don't know, I'll usually log off around like 5:36 in that range and I'll go to the gym and I'll lift. I'll lift weights every single day except for Sundays. Sometimes I'll do I just really enjoy like lifting weights. And I'll do your typical split like I'll do a chest day, I'll do a leg day, do an arm day, shoulder day, back day. Those 5 and then I just have a note so I know which one to do every day. Um I lift more so recently like pretty intuitively. Like I'll just do like hey, like this, if I'm doing bench press, like maybe I'll do another set cuz I really feel like I don't stick to a strict like, hey, I need to do 4 sets of 10 reps. I'll just kind of like lift how I
Yeah,
feel like it because I've been doing it for a while. But lifting's been, I just really enjoy weight training a lot, and I'll go to the gym to do that. Every year, my family goes up to a lake house in New York for 4th of July, and like the whole family participates in a 5K. So, like right now, I'm running like 4 days a
oh
week
nice.
to like prep for that. Um, I think as I get older, I'm like pulling back a little bit on weight training and like running more. I really would like to get into running even further, and we're getting out of the city, so like we could maybe chat about that at some point. I would love to run outside, but like city running kind of sucks.
It's
It's
fucking dangerous.
it's
It's
dangerous. You
probably
got to
not even the
stop and
healthiest air
start.
quality too. Yeah,
Not
yeah,
good air quality. You're running on cement the whole time. Like it's not the greatest. And then so then I like have to run on a treadmill a lot of times when I'm running, and
yeah.
it's like not fun doing that either. So I would like to run a bit more, but end of day mandatory. I get a training session in, and my gym has a sauna, so like I try to
Nice.
almost daily get a sauna session in. I try my best. Weekends, especially like after a night of drinking, no doubt about it. I'm getting the sauna. It's like such like a little treat. I wish my gym had a cold plunge, but I love the sauna. And then usually I'll come home. I'll get home around like 7ish at night in that general range. Um, my fiance and I will do dinner at that point, and then I'll usually, I hate to say it, like hop back online from like 7:38 to like 9:30. I don't. It kind of depends. Kind of depends on the day. Kind of depends on like what's going on. But that little hour, I'll usually like to like any last emails that I need to get sent off that needs to be communicated. Like I'm usually not doing like a major build or like anything large at that
Yeah,
point.
it's just
And then
damage control.
it's yeah, exactly. And then at that point, I will write out what I have to do the next day work wise so that I have like my list ready to go for the next day. And then before bed, we'll usually watch a show together or do something like that. Um, but honestly, before bed, I usually like I'll have like a 15-20 minute period where I'll just like lay in bed and I won't listen to anything. I make my fiance put
Smart.
in headphones because she like has an iPad and like always does like a show or playing a
Yeah,
game or
yeah.
something.
Smoke my
So I'll
wife.
be like,
Yeah.
yo, put the headphones in. And then I will literally lay there for like 15-20 minutes and just like think about whatever. There's no agenda, there's no anything like that, just like whatever comes to mind, but just like trying just to like lay and just like relax for a second. I also have like a little noisemaker machine next to my bed that I'll put on as well because I can't sleep
Yep.
in silence. So I'll put that on and I'll just lay for a little bit. Don't look at a phone. Alarm's already set, and then that's it. That really, really helps like me kind of like settle in. And I'll go to bed pretty much the same time every night. I'm pretty much sleeping by like 10:15 every night, like shut off automatically just because I'm like so routine oriented there. So pretty similar, I would say, in our day to day, but like a little
Yeah.
different in terms of like the. I feel like we flip flop our workout sessions.
Yeah, for sure. And even like production time of like work. Back in the day when I had to go drive a little bit more, I would get up super early, work out super early, and get to the work super early. And but it was great. I had like 3 hours of nobody having meetings with me or anything like that. I could get a lot of work done, and I could do that. It's a little bit just shifted now. And like, dude, and even the goals for like working out, like, dude, I'm not like the fittest person in the world. Sure, I could be doing more, etc. But it's like I'm just doing it so I can be active with my kids, be healthier in that sense. I do like to have, drinks. It's
Oh
always been
yeah,
something in my family. So where it's like, it's like I'm not a fucking angel by any means with things, when it comes to having drinks or, food and diet. And I think that maybe is a good transition where like, dude, the diet thing for me, um, yeah, man, dude, I've always been self conscious of my body since I was young, and so it's like,
same.
I'm not perfect now. My wife, actually, I probably should say what my wife used to say. You got what was it? Fat girl white problems or white girl fat problems? Like just self esteem. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Maybe we cut that one out. But like just whatever self esteem issues, which I think a lot of people do
Dude, I think
too. Where it's like,
everybody
dude,
does.
like I don't
Everybody
have
has
like a
to.
fucking I don't really care. Like I'm past the point where like I need to have a perfect body or anything. Like I'm doing it for more being functional. Of like, hey, I feel good. I feel healthy. I might not like I think a lot of people that are like that you see the online personas or people like they're probably not even healthy, even though they look like sculpted. You know,
Without
um,
question.
in that sense. So, yeah, diet wise, I've tried the carnivore stuff. Didn't agree with me. As far as body, I did vegan for a little bit, and I actually had some cool performance out of that back in the day.
Interesting. Okay.
But now it's just kind of a very balanced diet where like I try not to have a ton of carbs, but if I'm running more, carbs are okay because it replaces the glycogen that's in my
Yep.
system that needs to be done, especially afterwards. But I tend to be a lot more like like a lot more protein for sure. Like I skew protein during lunch and dinners. That I try to make it my main dish. Have some vegetables of some sort, whatever's around, and then maybe a little bit of fruit for it. But I'm not like weighing stuff out, or I'm not like calorie counting. Like I can't do that in my mind. So it's quantity, just kind of control on that side. Um, so what about you, kind of food
I'd
wise
probably say the
diet?
same. I'm pretty similar. I guess I don't know what it would be like diet considered or called, but pretty much like try and eat clean protein. So, chicken that's not like fried.
Yeah,
Fish, we do a good amount of fish. We try and do that like once or twice a week. We do some ground turkey from here and there. Then we try and get some like wild game in. Like it's kind of tougher being in the city, but like bison, I really like bison. We'll do like wild boar from time to time.
that's
Um,
awesome.
but it's tougher in the city, like it's just not. I feel like the
Yeah, it's one of
quality's
my
not the
goals
best.
to go hunting eventually and kill something and eat it. And
Get like a venison and just have like
yeah, my brother
months
sent me
worth.
stuff from Michigan, and it's like, dude, it's so good, it's so good.
That's
Like
so
it's
good.
just like even like the way you feel afterwards, like it's good. Even like from a gut health
Oh yeah.
perspective, um, yeah, it's
I've heard
no,
plenty
it's
of
very
people say
similar. I
that's
call it
like
just
the.
balance.
Oh yeah, I've heard plenty of people say that's like the healthiest protein you can get is like wild game. So we try and do some like steak and red meat once a week as
Yep.
well. Um, I mean, dude, you just got to think like if you got a like I don't know a bison out there in the wild or I don't know a deer running from prey all the day and just shredded. They probably have some like good shit in their body. You know what I mean? Like they're like
Yeah,
just
and
an
it's funny though;
athlete.
those
They
things
just
are all
consume.
vegan too, though most of the time.
That's also true though.
That's a
That's
weird
also
one.
true.
They're shredded and
That
they can that's a paradox for me. I'm like,
that really is
they're different though than us, for
for
it all.
sure.
But
So I'm pretty
yeah,
similar
no,
to you.
that balance,
I
yeah.
try and do clean protein, get veggies in, and then limit carbs. Like I'll do, dude. We love Trader Joe's sourdough bread. It's so
Oh, I
good.
do
So I'll
sourdough is
do
where
like
it's at.
I'll do that.
Yeah. And so if I'm gonna
So
eat
yeah,
bread,
just
it's sourdough for sure. It's
it's so
that's
good.
my go-to.
And then
Yeah,
like
it's. I mean, I would say like on the weekends, like dude, we get pizza. I
I
typically
was just
don't
gonna say
do
the
a lot
same
of
thing.
sweets.
Yeah,
Like personally, I'm like, dude, I'd rather have a drink than have a frozen yogurt. That's my take on a sweet. I mean, it is got sugar in
yeah,
it to
yeah,
a
yeah,
certain
yeah.
extent. Um, but yeah, like I'm not a. It's funny. I'm not a huge sweets guy, but I would be if I didn't drink. It's kind of funny.
All
It's
right,
like
what
it's
we
kind
I
of a
feel like
funny
we have
trip.
the same setup there. What's so if you are gonna have a beverage, an alcoholic beverage,
Yeah.
what's your are you a beer guy? You a liquor guy?
So
What are you into?
yeah. So typically, I do enjoy a good beer, but I used to brew beer and it just wrecks my stomach if it's super heavy. Like you just get into it and you're like, oh man. But if I'm out at dinner and I'm like, and it's a restaurant, it's like I'll get a beer too. I typically won't get hard liquor or anything like that when I'm out. I'm like beer it is good, but if I'm at
Pretty chill,
home
yeah.
or if at a nice restaurant, I'm definitely a whiskey guy. I enjoy bourbon for sure. That is definitely up my alley. Um, but I can drink it like neat, just no mix or anything like
Oh
that, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
can
yeah.
enjoy that. But that's maybe after on I'm with friends and something like that itself. But I typically like to do like a mixed, dude, with Diet Dr Pepper. It's the weirdest combo, but like Diet Dr Pepper and like some sort of like not crazy, not bottom shelf whiskey, but like like a Jameson or something like that, or a bourbon that's out there with Dr Pepper diet, and I'm cool with that. It used to be
We
Diet
do Dr.
Coke.
Pepper diet all the
It
time here
used
too. That's
it
so
used to
funny.
be Diet Coke, but I kind of got burnt out, and then I don't know. Diet Dr Pepper was where it's at, so that's where my kind of go to. So I have like if I'm gonna have a drink or two, I'll have those. But I've been really big into then kind of I then settle into like having like a light beer or something chill afterwards
Yeah.
to kind of settle through, especially if we have friends over and it's a bigger party. Seltzers were a big kick a thing around here. Beers I'm cool with, but it's typically if I'm gonna have sessions, it's gonna be like a Modelo or something simple. Uh, but we've been really into a brand out here called I don't think you guys have it out there for sure. It's called Happy Dad. Um,
Oh yeah.
you guys have Happy Dad?
The
Maybe it's an East
seltzer.
Coast thing that came out here. Yeah, it's a seltzer.
Yeah, Nug Boys.
Say what?
Oh wow. That wait, this is weird. So you
This
don't
might
know
be
who the
different.
Nelk Boys are?
No. So is
So the
Happy
Nelk
Dad's?
Boys, this dude Kyle, he made like prank videos online forever, and it grew. They have like Full Send podcast, one of the biggest podcasts in the country. That's his alcohol brand is Happy Dad. So the fact that you know Happy Dad and you don't know Nelk
Oh,
Boys
is
is
it really?
wild.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
funny,
yeah,
dude. I don't. No idea.
that's
Yeah,
wild.
interesting.
I've never had it. I just know
Yeah, I
it
didn't know
because
how
I
big they were.
their podcast, dude. They do like they got Trump on the podcast. They do like 2-3 million views a podcast. Every podcast
No
they got
shit.
Happy Dad in it. Yeah, that's their brand. That's
So I only
wild
like
that you
one of the
know that brand, and
flavors.
that's so
Yeah, it's
interesting.
weird. They have a fruit punch that's freaking awesome. Their claim is funny because like it's like a normal shaped can. So that was like they're kind of marking like, dude, if you're gonna drink, don't drink out of a
It's like a
skinny
beer
can.
can. It's not like one of
Yeah,
like
it's
the
like a beer
skinny
can,
seltzer
right? It looks like
cans.
a
Yeah.
PBR kind of look to it all.
Yep.
But the fruit punch is good. But they also have electrolytes in it. They throw fucking sodium in it, and they say it's got electrolytes in it. I'm like, dude, come on, it's like a super minimal amount. It's like 20 milligrams or something like that. For it. So,
That's
but
classic.
yeah, that's my kind of go-to if do drinks. What about you? Sounds similar. If Diet Dr Pepper's in there.
I mean, I used to be like really health conscious where I would just do like vodka with like Propel or like
Sure.
electrolyte. So it's like
Yeah.
zero sugar, 0 calories. You're obviously getting calories from like the alcohol, but like I try to do that. It's just not fun doing that. Like it's just not, you know what I mean? It's just not like enjoyable doing that. Like it is, but it's not like so I tell my fiance all the time I'm like growing into trying to be like a whiskey and bourbon guy because I feel like that's like kind of
It's
gangster, being like a
fun.
little older with like a little like glass of like just bourbon or whiskey in there. I've tried
Yeah.
some; they're pretty solid. Like I'm not like a that's not like a routine. Um, I don't. It really. I would say that as of late, like IPA beers. Like we have
Yeah.
Sip of Sunshine that's really big in Philadelphia here. Um, We also have Victory Brewing. They make like a couple different
Yeah, I know
versions,
Victory.
IPAs and
Yeah,
sours. Like it's nice because you could drink 2 or 3 and get a really nice buzz going, and you don't have to drink like 9 light beers to get you there.
yeah.
But if I
No, for
am doing
sure.
beers on a lake day, Modelo with a lime
Yeah,
every time.
dude, it's crazy how much market share they've gotten. They've replaced. I think they got above Bud Light, right? They're the
They're
number one
number
selling
one
beer.
light beer in the country. Yeah,
That's so wild.
crazy,
Yeah,
but it's very good. And then similar
yeah.
to
I
you,
think
try
that's
and do like
gluten reduced
electrolytes
too.
before bed if you're going to be
Yeah,
doing
dude, for
that.
sure. Electrolyte.
Yeah,
It's like I have a fine balance of like I always joke around. It's like uh, I'm just it's super balanced where it's like workout, hydrate this, but then drink. Try to stay healthy. It's like I'm just trying to live life and have fun with it. And I know that it's going to have ebb and flows, and it's as long as they
exactly.
somewhat balance out, I'm good with it. Because I think if I went either way, it'd be horrible. If I was super health conscious, I don't think I'd be happy. And like, I don't know, like mentally, if I'd be like crazy happy there. And obviously, the opposite, if I was just a complete mess and just indulgent the whole time, I don't think I'd be happy. I think like there's like this yin yang of realization. It's like, dude, it's okay. Life's fucking
That's
weird, and
that's where I've
balance it
been at
out, man.
now. As I continue to grow older, it's all about balance there. And if you go to one extreme of like, hey, I'm completely sober, I'm not doing anything, or I'm doing like, I don't know, it definitely can get you a little ornery there. It's good to enjoy life from time to time there.
Yeah, dude, I look at it like as long as it's balanced and you're good in that sense and you're good mentally, then man, you gotta live life and enjoy it because it's short.
Exactly.
Um, Yeah, because I don't know, dude. As I've gotten older too, I've gotten a little bit more spiritual. I would say because I grew up in like a religious, not super religious by any means. My dad's side of the family, and my mom's, we're definitely, especially my dad's side was very, very, um, what was it? Not Orthodox, but Roman Catholic. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Like
mean, there is
typical,
Roman
like
Cat. I don't know there, but
yeah, and then I grew up and I was like, dude, when I was younger, I was like, man, religion's all a farce. This and God, religion, and this, and even like outside of Christianity, say karma, or I was very much like, dude, this is all science based. Like, dude, this is all bullshit. Like, but as I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, there is some sort of missing element that can't be explained by physics
Steve,
or
I'm literally
science to where,
having
yeah,
the same experience right
it's an
now. It's
existential
wild that you're
crisis. You're
saying
like,
that.
why is this weird? It's probably because I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan, which hey, that's there. Lex Friedman, Huberman. Those are like my
You
Cameron
been
Haynes
listening to
podcast for
Tucker at
some.
all lately?
I have too. He's got some interesting takes on things. That's been my mix of podcasts, which I got to put that filter into. But I talk to other people; they're kind of like minded in that way. But it's been interesting, kind of tripping out on some of these uh, more spiritual type of side of things where I wouldn't have before or even considered it.
You got to check out Sean Ryan. His
Oh, Sean
podcast
Ryan, I
Tucker.
have watched a couple of them. He just did the one with Tucker recently, right?
Yeah, Tucker just went on it recently, and they both were like, dude, there's literally an awakening in this country, and in terms of like religion wise, and like a return to those types of like, I don't know. It's not necessarily so much like religion in the sense of like Jesus was, risen from the whatever and all these,
Mm-hmm.
stories of the Bible and you have to believe that, but more so like an understanding that like it's almost like an ego death. Like there's something bigger out there. There's a different purpose that you just don't fully understand and you just need to be a good person. You need to treat other people with
Yeah,
respect. And
dude,
you
I've
need
been
to treat nature with respect and like there's something out there that's bigger than us, that's connected, that is a spiritual component that I would totally agree with you. Like I grew up and I went to CCD and stuff, and everybody hated it and was just like so old and like this is
CCD shit.
nonsense.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
like kind of
yeah,
like built a whole generation of people that were like, yeah, this is a bunch of nonsense. And then you see what happened in the
yeah,
church. But when you act, but I do feel like more and more and more people are talking about like I don't know, like a spiritual awakening in the country.
yeah. I think it's a phrasing it a little bit different. Where it's not as structured because I think if you look at like even like reading the Bible and you look at what like a lot of people kind of study it and kind of read interpretations of it, and then you look at kind of what society, like modern Christianity or any of the religions, like, did they get that right? They kind of like translated all the way down through here to like, you're not necessarily teaching the same principles that was originally put back in it.
Yep.
And I think maybe it's got to do something with like people understand nowadays, especially with the internet and even with COVID, that like not everything that people say is there's a motive behind it. And so maybe an organized religion now, the way it is, people are like, well, hey, let's go back to like what they originally were saying and what interpretations can we make ourselves out of it to be more like of a spiritual take on it and be open to those ideas. Because some of that shit is crazy when you dig into some of the references like the Bible had to going back to civilizations that possibly 50,000 years ago. And dude, it's insane. You start getting into that. And even how scientists can't explain why the human brain doubled in size in the period that it did. Like literally there's like a genetic, like it doesn't make sense how it got there that fast, like something
Yep.
intervented. So there's like, yeah, but it's interesting. Like it gives me a little bit more of a feeling of like things are going to be okay. Can takes away a little bit of anxiety if having this open mindset about
No
things,
doubt.
right? Like I'll go to bed. Um, I don't typically. I don't really. It's funny. It's not necessarily. I guess it is praying. You could say pray, um, but like taking a moment to just kind of speak to whatever might be out there, bigger. People call, I guess, that praying. I'll do that in the morning when I first wake up, or sometimes when I go to bed. Where I'll wake up. First thing I do is to make sure I open the blind so I get sunlight right away. It opens up my eyes. I won't grab my phone right away unless it's to turn off my alarm. I'll sit there. I will purposely smile, smile and say it's going to be a good day.
Love that.
And then I will have a little bit of a reflection of like, hey, thanks that, my kid's school day went really well, or this went well with this, or I start randomly like accepting, like giving out good energy to
Yep.
individuals or thinking for things. And that makes you just feel better, man. And as I think you mentioned it, like this being more positive about things, be it with people or nature, etc. It's so weird. I've been in that mind space more often now, like trying to approach it at more joyfully or with love, which is wild.
Without question. I do that every night before bed. A little bit, maybe like a little bit different, but like pretty similar there. Um,
Yeah,
so it's definitely not. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like praying in the sense of like, saying an Our Father and
sure.
doing Father, Son, and Holy Spirit and all that stuff. But like, you know, I think that's important to have like a I don't know. Tucker said it recently on the Sean Ryan podcast, and he said that it's helped him more so recently in life of thinking about like people passing away and your eventual death and everything, and it's like a comforting feeling to know that like like you're a good person, you give out good vibes, and you're like genuinely a good human being and care about other people, and don't think it's all about you. That like good things are going to happen, and whatever happens from there, it's going to all work out. And I
Yeah, and
truly do believe that, and I think that's been
and I
helpful from my perspective.
no, I think so too, and I think it's the motivation behind it is that you're not trying to place good on others so people can say, "Oh, wow, he's a really nice person." You
Yeah.
genuinely want to give that goodness and not expect anything in return. And I don't know, maybe bring it full circle back to like the Collective 42. Um, past experiences that I've had with my previous agency, like, dude, there's definitely some trauma as far as that kind of went down. We could have a whole another episode, maybe eventually, about things like that.
Oh yeah.
Um, but like knowing that it wasn't a normal situation to where like, hey, this last 8 to 9 months with really putting motivation into Collective 42, and me and Ricardo both have this mindset of just doing the right thing. And what's that phrase? I've heard it before. Like all, if the tide rises, all boats rise. Like we're just
Yep.
trying to do the right thing. We're like, hey, if it's not a great fit, hey, maybe I got this guy that can help out. Or, it's like we refer out a lot of business or make introductions where it's like, oh, this person needs help with this. We could probably take a little bit of a margin, just put it underneath us. But it's like, why are we going to do that? It's going to be better if we just pass that referral along. It's not like we're losing business in that sense, but we're just trying to do the right thing and the right connections and like being very positive in that situation, even for people that come to us that maybe are not the best qualified. We'll give them the right direction. Actually, I need to do a sales thing, or I have to look at a scenario now with a potential prospect, which I'm not sure if they're going to have the budget right, for all this to fit. But I will definitely spend the time to like, hey, this is where I think you should go. But it's not like I'm trying to sell, but like the idea of putting that kind of karma positive karma out there, I feel like we have received it, and it's like almost unlocked this thing in my mind of like, as long as you're doing that, you feel good regardless of the outcomes that happen because they're going to be tend to be positive, you know.
Without question. I feel the same exact way and try and do the similar things in our firm as well. Because I think, and also too, if you think about it from like a client perspective or just like interacting with people, like if you're just like, hey, dude, like a good example, I've definitely asked you before on certain projects of like, Steve, could you take a look at this from an SEO perspective and see if there's anything like wrong here or how you would approach this? And like you've just done that and just like, yep, I would do X, Y, and Z, or I consider this. So many other people could be like, yeah, dude, like I'll do that, but you need to give me $1,000, then I'll do an audit for you or something like that. Or
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Or
It's
they're
like,
or
and
they're even like protective of resources, right? I know you've asked me like, hey, you got some SEO guys that maybe can help with some stuff, and I know I've passed over a couple names. I actually reached out to one of those individuals because I was thinking like, hey, man, maybe there's some hourly work that he can do for me on stuff, and he is the Mark individual. I won't say his
oh,
last name,
nice, nice.
but he's like, no, dude, thanks for hooking me up. I forgot I even fucking sent that over to you, which I was like, oh, cool, that's right, huh? But
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah,
even he's like, oh, I think we might work on something else. Thanks for the introduction. Seems like a great
yep.
guy. It's like, cool. We're just trying to put that good energy out there. Um, so I think that's a really big key because I don't know, past examples I had was is more of a hoarding of resources.
It's like that
Um,
scarcity mindset that just doesn't do anything of like, oh, if I tell him so and so that we're working on this, well, maybe they're going to reach out and steal them. It's like, dude, that's not even realistic. And that's just not a good mindset to have in general. Like, can we share that info with them or not? Like, I don't know. That scarcity mindset is not like a good positive thing at
no,
all
I
to
just say
have.
it's almost like in a mindset of an anxiety, kind of thing. Like you're asking for it. You're just scared in that sense, and you can't be. But
Dude, not to go in like a, like a political rant here, but I feel like we need way more of that energy in this country. Like, I feel like there's so many politicians and business owners out here that just make decisions solely based on will it benefit them financially and have no care what the ramifications might be for Americans or your workers or your employees or something like that. I feel like we need a reckoning in this country of people saying, I'm going to take ownership for my actions and I'm going to be responsible for myself. I'm going to take care of my family. I'm going to be present and I'm going to be an honest person. And I'm not going to do anything just to fuck the next person over just to get a dollar. Because I feel like this country's gone to a point where so many business owners and politicians have acted just in their own interest and didn't care about anything else. And I feel like we're in a really precarious situation in this country right now, in this economy right now, and financially, where I think a lot of that just stems from like just greed and just people just looking out for themselves, and it's not positive.
yeah, politics wise, I would agree. And that kind of like even companies, right? If you're publicly traded, was they're always their backstop is like, well, we have to do what's in best interest of our shareholders. And typically, they always say that's money, right? Making more money. But I would love to see a business say like, hey, our number one financial or our number one responsibility to our stakeholders is putting out positive karma and energy to the world. You do
Like that
that,
kind of sounds like woo woo, but it's not, and that's like
dude,
really
you do
needed.
that, I'd invest into that company because there will be a positive energy impact that comes back to them. I guarantee it in a way.
No doubt. I saw something
Dude,
somebody.
that's like on the business side. Politics wise, dude, I don't know. Dude, that's a fucking scary situation. I'm on the RFK Jr. bus, because that guy is way more in a mindset of positivity than the two other individuals. We'll see how it goes. But
Without question.
um, yeah, you just wish you could do that, and it's tough, dude. Like when you run into somebody too that just has a negative energy, don't tell me you cannot feel it.
You definitely can. You
Like
definitely
this
can.
gets into the weird part of like quantum physics and entanglement in the brain, and two things being at the same, or two things being in the same place but in different areas or whatever they call
Yep.
it. Right? I do think there is a part of human beings that can resonate or you feel that energy. I mean, theoretically, we're all from the same stuff, right? And like, dude, I was on my run this morning, and is the weirdest thing. I was on my run. It was like the last mile, and I was running on the sidewalk, and there's two individuals walking to me, and typically you see someone move out of the way. It was on a busy street, so I wasn't going to jump into the street. Like I had to stay on the sidewalk. And this lady was walking next to this guy. I'm like, I don't know if she's going to move. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And but like the way she didn't even move at all. Like I had to kind of like purposely move out of the way. But like when I moved around her, I was like, kind of made me angry. It's like, dude, just common decency. Like, hey, move over a little bit. Not a big deal. But it's like I kind of went by. I was like, dude, she's probably having a shitty day or something. Like her energy was just fucking way off. And I was like, all right, I ain't gonna get mad about this. Let's just fucking keep going home. But I was just like, dude, like really? Like I just tripped me out for a second. I was like, she's putting off that bad energy vibe. So
I had the same experience. It was either yesterday or the day before, walking across the street. I was my right away, um, and a guy was making a right hand turn, and just like honked at me. And I looked over at him, and I'm like, "Well, dude, I'm in the right of way. Like I should be crossing the street. This is legal. This is my time to cross the street." And I looked over at him, and he's like an older dude, like really big belly, like, and I'm just like, dude, he's not in a good spot in his life right now. Like, I was so tempted to like yell something back or be like, dude, what's your deal? I was like, you know what? He's probably in a really bad position right now in his life right now. And it's not a reflection on my actions. It's more a reflection on the position that he is in life. And there's no need to get in a tiff or an argument because then it throws your day off. Then it throws your
yeah,
energy off and everything, And then it's like a ripple effect of like you could easily said something to that person and then like pissed her off even further. It's like, whoa, what was even accomplished there? Like you're just going to regret that and feel bad later. Like there's just no need to pass that along.
dude, what makes me super optimistic here is that I'm 10 years older than you, and you are starting to learn things that I am only learning now, pretty much. We're like on that safe kind of journey per se.
Yeah,
So perhaps that will go downwards that'll continue to go downwards in generation to where eventually when we're older we'll all be in a better space. It's an
dude, I hope
optimistic
so.
look about it because I think there is an eye-opening effect, to all this, and or even the mindset. Like eventually, if you have the desire to have kids, like these are things that you'll be able to put in front as an example to share as well, because that will bleed off into another part of it also. Yeah, man, this has been an interesting one. I think this is probably a good spot to wrap it up. I mean, I think we could go for another hour easily. So I do like these
Without question.
wandering sessions that we can continue to do so, and I appreciate it because it is sharing a lot more, detailed things, not necessarily intimate, but just opening up a little bit more, and maybe the audience appreciates that. But to be honest, I don't really give a shit about the audience. I'm just talking to talk, and it feels good, right?
No doubt. I think yeah, I totally agree. And hopefully this good energy can pass along to some other people listening and keep that trail rolling.
Yeah, I know the rest of my day is going to be full of positive energy after this, and that's what I mean. Like the talking makes me feel good with this connection
Yeah.
and through it all. So if anything, it's yeah, it feels good to have that energy going into a Friday, into the weekend. Still got a couple more hours of work, but this has been good, man. I appreciate the time.
Hell yeah, me as well. Yeah, maybe we could revisit like a daily routine episode at some point in the future here, how things have changed, if we tried anything new. I don't know, maybe get into like some supplementation or
Yeah,
content that
there's a
we
whole
consume.
supplementation I think
There's
we
a
could
bunch of
talk
stuff that
about
we
for
could
sure
go.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Well, we'll leave that
Cool.
for another day then. That's a wrap, I guess.
That is a wrap. Cool. We'll call it there.